I thought I knew what love was. 6 years of marriage to Amber, building a life together, planning for kids someday. Then one night over dinner, she looked at me with those green eyes I had fallen for and said she wanted to open our marriage. She needed to explore to find herself outside of us. I felt my stomach drop, but I nodded, terrified of losing her. I had no idea that agreeing would lead to the most brutal lesson of my life. Before I take you through what happened next, I would love to know where you are watching this from. Drop your location in the comments below, hit that like button, and make sure to subscribe. Because this story takes a turn nobody saw coming, not even me. Let me take you back to where this all started. I met Amber 8 years ago at a small coffee shop in Portland. I was there working on some project blueprints. She was reading a book on psychology. Our eyes met when she reached for the sugar at the same time I did. Sounds like a movie scene, right? It felt like one too. She had this energy about her, this spark that made everything feel lighter. We talked for 3 hours that day, and I walked out knowing she was someone special. The next 2 years were easy. Everything just flowed. We hiked on weekends, tried new restaurants, stayed up late, talking about everything and nothing. Amber worked in marketing for a tech startup, and I was doing well as a civil engineer. We were not rich, but we were comfortable. More importantly, we were happy. At least I thought we were. We got married on a September afternoon with about 50 people watching. Her parents cried. My mom gave a speech about finding your person, and Amber promised to love me through everything. I believed every word. We bought a small house in the suburbs with the inheritance money my grandparents had left me. It was not much, but it was ours. 3 bedrooms, a backyard, with an old oak tree and enough space to imagine the family we would build someday. For the first 5 years, life was steady. We had our routines. Coffee together every morning, date nights on Fridays, lazy Sundays, where we would just exist together. I worked on city infrastructure projects. She climbed the ladder at her company. We talked about having kids maybe in another year or two when we felt more ready. Everything felt solid, like we were building something that would last. Then about 6 months before that dinner, things started shifting. Amber joined a yoga studio that focused on mindfulness and self-discovery. At first I thought it was great. She seemed energized, talking about chakras and limiting beliefs and personal growth. She started attending weekend workshops about consciousness and authentic living. I encouraged her. I wanted her to be happy, to feel fulfilled. But slowly she started pulling away. Our morning coffee talks got shorter. She would scroll through her phone instead of meeting my eyes. Date nights became less frequent because she had evening meditation sessions or group discussions. When I would ask about her day, she would give me surface-level answers and then retreat to her own thoughts. The physical intimacy faded too. She would turn away when I reached for her in bed, claiming she was tired or not in the mood. I told myself it was just a phase, that she was going through something and needed space. Then came that Friday night. I came home from work to find Amber cooking my favorite meal, chicken parmesan with garlic bread. Candles on the table, soft music playing. My heart lifted. I thought maybe she had worked through whatever was bothering her, that we were going to reconnect. We ate and made small talk about work, about the weather, about nothing important. After dinner, we moved to the couch with wine. That is when she said it. Dean, I have been thinking a lot about us, about our relationship and where we are. I felt my chest tighten, but I stayed quiet, waiting. I love you, I do, but I feel like we have grown stagnant, like we are just going through the motions. I need something more. I asked her what she meant, even though part of me already knew. She took a breath and said, I want us to open our marriage, to see other people. It does not mean I do not love you. It means I need to explore who I am outside of this relationship. Lots of couples are doing this now. It is called ethical non-monogamy. It is actually a more evolved way of loving. The words hit me like a punch. I sat there, wine glass in my hand, trying to process what she was saying. She wanted to sleep with other people. She wanted to date other men while coming home to me. And she was framing it as evolution, as growth, as something enlightened couples did. I asked her if there was someone already. She said no, not yet, but she had been thinking about this for months. She said she felt trapped, like she had missed out on experiences by settling down so young. She was only 32, and she needed to know who she was as an individual, not just as my wife. I did not sleep that night, or the next, or the one after that. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, feeling like my world was crumbling. Part of me wanted to say no, to draw a line and tell her this was not what I signed up for. But another part, the part that was terrified of losing her completely, thought maybe this was the only way to keep her. Maybe if I said no, she would just leave anyway. At least this way she would still come home. After a week of agony, I told her yes. We could try it, but with rules. Complete honesty about who and when. Safe practices always. And respect for our home and our marriage. She lit up when I agreed, hugging me tight and promising it would only make us stronger. I felt hollow inside, but forced a smile. I was already losing her, I just did not want to admit it yet. The first few weeks were torture. Amber started going out more, always with vague explanations. Meeting friends, attending a workshop, trying a new class. She would come home late sometimes after midnight, smelling like cologne I did not recognize. Her phone became glued to her hand, face down on every surface screen, locked with a new passcode she had not shared. I tried to focus on work, taking on extra projects to keep my mind occupied. I started going to the gym every morning at 5, pushing my body until it hurt, because physical pain was easier than emotional pain. I would come home to an empty house and eat dinner alone, wondering where my wife was and who she was with. One night I asked her directly if she was seeing someone. She hesitated, then nodded. His name was Kyle, she said. They met at one of her wellness workshops. He was a life coach into fitness and meditation and helping people unlock their potential. She said it was just casual, nothing serious, but the way her face softened when she said his name told me everything I needed to know. A few weeks later, Amber asked if she could bring Kyle to a party our mutual friends were throwing. She said it would be good for me to meet him, to see that this was all healthy and normal. I did not want to go, but I also did not want to look weak or jealous, so I agreed. Kyle was everything I was not. Tall, maybe 6'3", with styled hair, and a wardrobe that looked like it came from an Instagram influencer. He wore tight shirts that showed off his gym-sculpted arms and talked about energy work and manifestation and living your truth. When Amber introduced us, he shook my hand with this confident grip and said, "Dean, man, Amber talks about you all the time. It is really cool that you two have such an evolved relationship." I wanted to punch him. Instead, I smiled and said something generic. I watched them together all night, the way she laughed at his jokes, how she touched his arm when she talked, the way her whole body angled toward him like a plant seeking sunlight. I felt invisible in a room full of people who knew me. Some friends gave me sympathetic looks, others avoided eye contact altogether. I left early, claiming a headache. After that night, things got worse. Amber started bringing Kyle to our house. The place I had bought with my inheritance, the home I thought we were building together. She said it was part of being open and honest, that hiding would be dishonest. The first time I heard them in our bedroom, I grabbed my keys and drove around for 3 hours, eventually parking at a 24-hour diner, where I sat alone drinking bad coffee until sunrise. It became a pattern. Some nights I would sleep on the couch with headphones in, trying to drown out the sounds from upstairs. Other nights I would leave entirely, walking through the neighborhood, or sitting in my car in empty parking lots. I felt like a ghost in my own life, like I had agreed to erase myself for someone who did not even see me anymore. Amber started staying out overnight sometimes for entire weekends. She would text me that she was at Kyle's place, or that they had decided to take a spontaneous trip to the coast, or to some retreat center. Our friends started asking questions. "How are you doing with all this?" they would ask carefully. I would lie and say we were figuring it out, that relationships take work. But inside, I was dying. I tried to talk to Amber about how I was feeling, but she would get defensive. "You agreed to this, Dean. This was a mutual decision. If you are not okay with it, now that is on you for saying yes when you were not ready." She made me feel like I was the problem, like my pain was an inconvenience to her freedom. 4 months into this nightmare, I came home from work on a random Tuesday. Amber was not there, which was normal now. I went to throw something away in the bathroom and saw it sitting on top of the trash. A pregnancy test. Positive. 2 bright pink lines staring up at me. My heart stopped, then raced. For one brief, stupid moment, I thought maybe this was ours. Maybe in all this chaos, something good had happened. But then reality crashed in. Amber and I had not been intimate in over 4 months. There was no way this baby was mine. I called her immediately. She did not pick up the first 3 times. On the 4th try, she answered annoyed. "What, Dean, I am in the middle of something." "Are you pregnant?" I asked, my voice shaking. Silence, long, heavy silence. Then, "Who told you?" I found the test. Are you pregnant? Another pause. Yes, I am pregnant. It is Kyle's. The words felt unreal, like I was watching this happen to someone else. When were you planning to tell me? I do not know. Soon. I am still processing it myself. I hung up. I could not hear another word. I sat on the bathroom floor, test still in my hand, and felt everything I had been holding together finally shatter. Amber came home 3 hours later. I was sitting at the kitchen table, the pregnancy test in front of me, like evidence in a trial. She walked in cautiously, setting her bag down slowly. "We need to talk," she said. "Yeah, we do." She sat across from me, hands folded. "I know this is a lot. I did not plan for this to happen. Kyle and I were being careful, but nothing is 100%. She paused, watching my face. "I want to keep the baby, Dean." I did not say anything. She continued. "I know this is not ideal, but we can make this work. You always said you wanted to be a father. We can raise this child together. Kyle is not ready for that responsibility, but you and I, we have a home, we have stability. We can do this." I stared at her, trying to understand if she was serious. She wanted me to raise another man's child, the child of the man she had been sleeping with in our bed while I sat downstairs pretending everything was fine. She wanted me to be the backup plan, the safety net, the guy who stayed while she did whatever she wanted. "Are you out of your mind?" I finally said. My voice low and controlled, her eyes widened. "Dean, I know this is hard, but if you think about it rationally, you want me to think rationally? You pushed for an open marriage. You brought another man into our home. You got pregnant by him. And now, you want me to raise his child because he does not want the responsibility?" Tears started falling down her face. "I made a mistake. Okay, I see that now. Kyle is not who I thought he was. He told me he does not want anything to do with the baby. He said I should get rid of it or figure it out on my own. I need you, Dean. I need us." For the first time in months, I saw her clearly. Not as the woman I loved, but as someone who had used me, manipulated me, and was now trying to do it again. "You need me," I repeated. "You need me now that your great adventure fell apart. Now that your enlightened relationship turned out to be a lie." "It is not like that," she sobbed. "I love you. I always loved you. I just got confused." "Get out," I said quietly. "What?" "Get out of this room. I need to think." She left crying, heading upstairs. I sat there for hours, my mind going in circles. Then something clicked, a clarity I had not felt in months. I was done. I was done being the backup, done being disrespected, done pretending any of this was okay. The next morning, I called in sick to work and drove to a lawyer's office. I had looked up divorce attorneys the night before reading reviews until I found someone with a reputation for being thorough and tough. Her name was Patricia Brennan, and she did not waste time with sympathy. "Tell me everything," she said, pen ready. I told her about the open marriage, about Kyle, about the pregnancy. I showed her text messages I had saved, photos Amber had posted on social media, with Kyle timestamps of when she was gone. Patricia listened, took notes, and then leaned back in her chair. "Here is the good news," she said. "Oregon is a no-fault divorce state, so proving adultery does not matter legally. But what does matter is that this house is yours. You bought it with inheritance money before the marriage, correct? Yes? Then it is separate property. She has no claim to it. The joint accounts will be split. But since you have been the primary earner, and since she is pregnant with another man's child, there will be no spousal support. No children from this marriage means no custody issues. This should be relatively clean. How long will it take? A few months if she does not contest it. Longer if she fights." "She will fight," I said. "Then we fight back harder. Get me bank statements, proof of her spending anything that shows financial irresponsibility. If she has been using marital funds for her affair, we can argue for an unequal split in your favor." I spent the next week gathering everything. I pulled bank statements showing Amber's shopping sprees, expensive dinners at restaurants I had never been to, hotel charges, spa treatments. I documented every night she was gone, every lie about where she was. I built a case not just for divorce, but for protecting everything I had worked for. When I had everything ready, I told Amber we needed to talk. She came downstairs looking hopeful, like maybe I had changed my mind about the baby. I had set up at the kitchen table with a folder full of papers. She sat down, confused. "What is all this?" I slid the divorce papers across the table. This is me setting myself free. Her face went white. Dean, no, please. We can work through this. Work through what Amber, you destroyed our marriage. You brought another man into our bed. You are carrying his child. There is nothing left to work through. Where will I go? I am pregnant. You cannot just throw me out. This is my house. I bought it with my money before we got married. You have 30 days to find somewhere else to live. After that, you are trespassing. She grabbed the papers, scanning them frantically. You are taking everything. The savings, the car. The car is in my name. The savings account is 80% my contributions. You spent our money on hotels and gifts for Kyle. I have every receipt. I kept my voice even emotionless. You wanted freedom, Amber. Congratulations. You have it. You are doing this because I am pregnant. You are punishing me. I am protecting myself. You made your choices. These are the consequences. She broke down completely, sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. Part of me, the part that had loved her for 8 years, wanted to comfort her. But that part was buried under months of pain and humiliation. I stayed seated watching her cry, feeling nothing but relief that this was finally ending. I am sorry, she gasped between sobs. I am so sorry. I was stupid. I thought I needed something else, but I was wrong. Please, Dean, please do not do this. Sign the papers, Amber. Make this easy for both of us. She looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. You are not the man I married. He would have never been this cold. You are right, I said. The man you married died somewhere around the time you started sleeping with Kyle in our bed. What is left is someone who finally learned to value himself. Over the next 4 weeks, Amber tried everything. She cried, she apologized, she got angry, she tried to seduce me, she threatened to fight the divorce. I did not engage. I had Patricia handle all communication through email. Amber moved out on day 29, taking her clothes and personal items to her parents' house 2 hours away. Kyle never showed up, never offered to help her move, never took responsibility. I heard through mutual friends that he had blocked Amber on everything and told people she was crazy for thinking he wanted a relationship. The man who talked about evolved consciousness and authentic living ran the moment things got real. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. Amber did not contest it in the end, probably because her lawyer told her she had no case. I kept the house, most of the savings, and my dignity. She got her freedom and a baby on the way with no father in sight. The first month after the divorce was strange. I would wake up and forget for a moment that Amber was gone, then remember and feel this mix of sadness and relief. The house felt different, emptier, but also cleaner somehow, like I had scrubbed away something toxic. I started going to therapy. My doctor recommended it after I told her I was having trouble sleeping. The therapist, an older woman named Dr. Reeves, did not judge or offer easy answers. She just let me talk, let me process everything I had been through. You gave up your boundaries to keep someone who did not value you, she said one session. The question now is, what boundaries will you set moving forward? That question stuck with me. I realized I had spent so much of my marriage trying to be accommodating, trying to be the easy partner, that I had lost sight of what I actually needed. I had said yes to things that destroyed me because I was afraid of being alone. Now that I was alone, it was not nearly as scary as I thought it would be. It was actually kind of peaceful. I threw myself into work. My boss noticed the change, the extra focus and energy, and gave me a lead role on a major bridge project. It was challenging, demanding, and exactly what I needed. I worked long hours, came home tired, and slept better than I had in a year. I started renovating the house, tearing out the carpet in the bedroom and replacing it with hardwood. I repainted the walls, bought new furniture, changed everything that reminded me of her. My friends rallied around me once they knew the truth. Some admitted they had thought the open marriage was a bad idea from the start, but had not wanted to overstep. Others said they had seen how miserable I looked and wished they had said something sooner. We started hanging out more, doing the things I had stopped doing while I was drowning in Amber's choices. Hiking trips, poker nights, just showing up for each other. About 6 months after the divorce, I ran into one of Amber's old co-workers at a grocery store. She hesitated, then told me Amber had the baby, a girl. She was living with her parents, working part-time, remotely struggling. Kyle had never stepped up, never even met his daughter. The coworker seemed to expect me to feel bad, to show some sympathy. I just nodded and said I hoped things worked out for her. And I meant it not in a bitter way, but in a way that meant I genuinely did not care anymore. Her life was not my problem. Around the same time, Amber sent me an email. It was long, rambling, full of apologies and explanations. She said she understood why I left, that she had been selfish and blind. She said she thought about me often, about what we could have had if she had not ruined everything. She asked if we could talk, maybe meet for coffee, just to close things properly. I read it twice, then deleted it without responding. There was nothing left to say. We had already said goodbye. As that first year after the divorce came to a close, I realized something important. I was not just okay. I was actually happy. Genuinely, deeply happy in a way I had not been in years. The house was mine, fully and completely. My bank account was healthy. My job was going well. I had friends who cared about me, family who checked in regularly, and a therapist who helped me understand my patterns and make better choices. I started dating casually, nothing serious, just meeting people and seeing what was out there. I was not in a rush. I had learned that being alone was better than being with someone who made you feel alone. I had standards, now real ones, about respect and honesty and shared values. I was not going to compromise on those things again, just to avoid being single. I thought a lot about what Dr. Reeves had said about boundaries. I realized that saying no to Amber's open marriage would not have made me controlling or closed-minded. It would have been me honoring what I needed in a relationship. And if that meant losing her, then she was not the right person for me anyway. The right person would not ask me to betray my own values and call it evolution. One afternoon, almost exactly a year after the divorce was finalized, I was sitting on my back porch watching the sunset. The oak tree in the yard had new leaves, bright green and full of life. The house behind me was clean, organized, filled with things I actually chose. I had a beer in my hand, music playing softly from inside, and absolutely nowhere I needed to be. And for the first time in longer than I could remember, I felt completely at peace. I heard through friends that Amber had reached out to Kyle again, hoping he would want to be involved with their daughter. He refused. She had tried dating but found it difficult as a single mother. Her parents were supportive but exhausted. The life she thought she would have, the freedom and excitement she had chased, had turned into something much harder and lonelier than the marriage she had thrown away. I did not take pleasure in her struggles, but I did not feel guilty either. She had made her choices, and I had made mine. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is walk away from someone who does not value you. Not with anger, not with revenge, just with the quiet certainty that you deserve better. If you are going through something similar, if someone in your life is asking you to compromise your core values for their happiness, I want you to hear this. It is okay to say no. It is okay to walk away. It is okay to choose yourself. Love should not require you to lose yourself. A real partner, a true partnership, does not demand that you share what cannot be shared without breaking. I learned that boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are foundations that keep you standing. I learned that being alone is not the worst thing that can happen to you. Losing yourself to keep someone else is far worse. And I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let someone go, not because you hate them, but because staying would destroy you both. My life now is simple, but it is mine. I wake up in a house I own, go to a job I enjoy, spend time with people who respect me. I am open to love again, but only the kind that adds to my life instead of asking me to subtract from myself. And honestly, that feels like the biggest victory of all, so what about you? Have you ever had to walk away from someone you loved to save yourself? Have you ever set a boundary that cost you a relationship, but gave you back your peace? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps you make whatever choice you need to make for your own peace. Take care of yourselves out there, and remember you are worth more than being someone's backup plan. You deserve to be someone's first choice always.